it's time once again to try to fix something. And today on the workbench, something a little bit different. Inside this box is a PS5 motherboard. And this motherboard was purchased by someone who is a subscriber to my channel. And he purchased it to repair it himself for his grandson, he says. Apparently it's got a HDMI encoder problems. And I think the fan connector was ripped off by the previous owner. So, not something I normally do. I don't normally work on things for other people. I mean, all the stuff you see me work on is stuff that I've bought broken to repair and resell. But I figured, what the heck, we'll give this a try. Should be everything I need in here, except there's no chassis. So if we get to the point of testing, I'm going to have to find another PS5 chassis to put the board in, if we get that far. We may be getting ahead of ourselves. Apparently it is shutting off. And he mentioned in his message that there were shorts around the video encoder IC. So let's see what we're going to be getting into here. All right, I've opened the box, and we have got the motherboard in a anti-static bag. We have a note from Neil, the person who shipped me the board, which I'm not going to show because it has his personal contact information on there. And this, I believe, is a bag of parts. Let's see what's in here. Looks like an encoder IC, which these things are like 40 bucks. Who's that from? I'm not sure if that's Injured Gadgets or who that is. And some capacitors. I wonder if that's, that looks like the little capacitor at the back of the, right there by the HDMI port, right across the 5 volts going out. And there is the fan connector, which has been ripped from the board. Okay, well, the only thing he didn't send that he mentioned there was a blown fuse in his message. So, yeah. Well, let's get into this. I'm kind of hoping the liquid metal has not gone everywhere. Ah, he covered it. Thank you. Thanks, Neil. Smart move. Smart move. And there we are. And I don't know if this is out of a digital version or the Blu-ray version. Really shouldn't matter as far as the encoder IC goes. Well, it looks like somebody tried to remove that encoder IC. I see scratch marks on it where somebody was trying to pull it up. Usually when people try to do this themselves that haven't had experience in it, they just don't have quite enough heat. It takes a fair amount of heat to get that thing off of there, because this board is one big heat sink. Now the HDMI port itself looks pretty good. I can't tell if that capacitor is there. I think it is, that little 0201 capacitor. He mentioned F7000. Not sure if it's 7000. There's 7001. Is there a 7003? It says 7002. Oh, there's the area of the RIP fan connector right there. So, okay. Let's look around this encoder. I see some. He mentioned there were some shorts he had found underneath that area. So maybe we'll look around that area first under the microscope. Alright, let's take a look under the microscope here. We're looking at the encoder area. Let me get my multimeter probes over here. You can see, yeah, somebody tried to remove it. You see the scratches. I'm just going to put my red probe on ground for right now. I mean my black probe on ground for this. I just want to check some of these bypass capacitors around this thing, like here. Yeah, that's a dead short. Here. Yep. Yep. Wow. She's not just a little bit shorted. Oh, there's something that's not shorted. That's ground already. Well, that's a supply coming in right there, isn't it? Yeah, it looks like a supply coming in. That's definitely shorted. So yeah, she's very shorted. I mean, there's very little that isn't shorted. I wonder if these filters have survived out here. Good. Good. Oops. Okay. I think those survived. The port looks good. The port looks mint. I mean, it looks, that's an original factory port. You just kind of tell by looking at the soldering on it. Yeah, I would say that's original. Okay. I guess let's just go ahead and replace this encoder IC and see if all these shorts go away. 864739. Let me make sure that is the right IC he sent and not the one for the 4. But I think it says on the package it's for the 5. Yeah, let's see. 739. All right. We've got a part. Let's get with it. All right, I'm just prepping the new IC first because, well, what I'd like to do is to heat the board up one time, you know, and get the bad part off, put the new part on at one heating. Doesn't really make sense to me to heat the board up to get the chip off and then put it to the side while I prep the IC and then heat the board back up. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Less stress on the board if we just get our chip ready and pull the old one, put the new one on there and be done with it. And I do like to prep these new chips. Turn my fan on over here. By putting a little solder on these pads. Let's use this little micro pencil. Probably gonna need some more flux. I do like for it to be swimming with flux when I do this. Just makes the little pad so pretty. I don't know why I put the flux in the middle of the chip. Not bad. And sticking to my tweezers. Okay. Maybe I'll put some fresh solder on this tip. Get whatever that was off the tip there. All right, now. Maybe a little bit in the middle. This tip might not be able to do it. Try this one. Yeah, that did it. So our chip should be prepped. I don't think I'm even going to clean it, because I'm just going to end up putting flux right back on it. Let's see. I think I am going to remove his plastic shield there, because it may melt while I'm doing this. Let's see. This putty, if I can push that back a little. Alright, here we are. So, pin 1's up here, the dot's in the upper right hand corner, the way we've got the board oriented. Put some flux down. The more the merrier on the flux. Let's see. Let me get my larger angled nozzle on. I'm thinking of going about 430, 440. Maximum airflow. And I grab my other pair of tweezers. Nice to have a pair of tweezers that will actually go around the IC. And it's good to find that out beforehand, and not when it's time to go grab it and you realize you won't quite reach around it. Alrighty, let's see what happens. Just getting started, no point in yanking on it yet. You can just watch for that solder on the sides of it start getting liquid. No need to rush it. It's going to take a little while to get the heat soaked into this board. And I can't remember if 440 is hot enough or not. Should be, just may take longer than using, 500 or something. But I see it starting to melt at the bottom. Melting on the sides. How about up here? I'm sorry I can't get the whole chip in the shot. That's because of my camera adapter. Doesn't give you the same view that I'm seeing. I need to come up with another one, a better one. This one works. Just doesn't give you the same view as it gives me. I've blown off most of my flux. Let's try a little bit more. I see the solder on the sides is getting liquid. But you gotta remember there's a big heat sink underneath it. There we go. It came right off. Our chip is off. I want to take a quick look around the board. Don't really see any issues. Let's take our brand new chip. Let it stick to our tweezers a little bit. Now, if I can keep it from blowing away whenever I hit it with hot air here. I'm going to back it down some. Let's try like 425. This will be lead-free. I mean, leaded solder here. Let me get a hold of this chip, because she's going to try to blow away. Get a better grip. I'm burning my fingers. Heat this up a little. Okay, get this down now. Somewhere. Ow. Try not to burn my fingers too much. That looks better. And alignment looks better. I've got a little downward pressure. The alignment doesn't look bad. I just about pushed a hole through the top of it there. I was pushing down so hard. Oops. I think it'll be alright. How do we look? Doesn't look horrible. I think I may have to touch up some joints though. Well, I think that's about as centered as I can get. Well, she's still hot here. See if we can pretty some of these joints up. Yeah, I struggle with these QFNs. It's hard for me to get enough solder on the pads. So no, I am not an expert in QFNs. I usually get the job done, but that's about it. Yeah, it looks like my alignment may be a little bit off looking at these pads. Not terrible, but not perfect. Come on, ground. Work with me there. There we are. And I'm using this micro pencil. And if I don't do this while the board is hot, it's not happening. Because it definitely does not have the heat to do it. Nice short there. I'll clean that up. Try to keep my hand out of the liquid metal because I am reaching across it right now. And my meter went to sleep. That's okay. Oops. All right, almost there. In the home stretch. I usually fast forward through this part, but maybe I won't this time. Come on. Work with me here. Alright, I think I got them all prettied up before the board cooled off too much. And now, also before the board cools off too much, try to clean up some of this flux I put on there, because once it warms up, it's hard to come off. I mean, once it cools off, I should say, not once it warms up. I may have to hit it with some hot air to get all this off. Yeah, I like to use lots of flux, but it does make cleanup a little harder. Hit it with some hot air. Just a little bit. Help with our cleanup process. Probably could do with a little toothbrush cleaning now. What's left? Oh, I bridged a cap up there, didn't I? I've got to fix that. Don't want to forget that. Looks like we are missing a cap up here up top, but I doubt that's going to be a deal breaker. There's some flux up here that is not mine around that IC. See if I can get rid of it though without melting something I shouldn't. So heat that up just enough to make it liquid and make it come off there maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I didn't get flux all the way over here. That's somebody else's flux. And it is dried kind of hard. I have to heat that up some more to get that off of there. Let's see. Well, this is looking all right. Let me get rid of that little solder bridge that I built up here. I need a little flux to get rid of the little teeth sticking up. There we are. Now that's better. All right, so now I wonder if we have any shorts. Wake my meter up that went to sleep. Continuity mode. Okay, I'm just going to stick the black probe on ground for this because we just want to know if we have a short or not right now. We don't have a short there, or there, or there, or there. Are you getting a reading though? 347. You don't get that. Yeah, you do get it down here. 350. About that one. It's a different supply. So all these that were shorted earlier are no longer shorted. Excellent. Nothing up here is shorted, I guess. Okay, that looks good. I need to check though. He mentioned an F7003 was blown. I don't know if it's been replaced or not. Oh, I see F7003 way over here. Okay, it's been removed. So let me just check and see if we have a short on either side of that right there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Okay. Let me see if I have a fuse to put in the place of F7003 because she's not going to work without it. It's at this point that I've got to tell you about a mistake that I made. The owner of the board had told me that F7003 had blown. And I looked at the board and I saw some empty pads. There was no component there. It says F7003 beneath it. So I installed a fuse from a PS4 board and tested it afterwards, and it seemed to work fine. But then I got to looking at the other board, the other PS5 board that I had pulled out of that frame so I could test it. And that was not a fuse. That was a resistor that was missing. There's F7003 down there. And I didn't catch it till later. So I had just replaced, there was empty pads there had been pulled already. What he thought was a blown fuse was actually a 100k ohm resistor. So yeah, I did not notice that until after I recorded the end of this video, but I want to make that correction now. I did eventually pull that fuse back off of there and install a proper 100k ohm resistor. So yeah, that's kind of what happens sometimes. I kind of blindly went along with what I was told, and I probably should have looked a little bit closer at the board. encoder IC is on. Our fan connector is connected again. I've replaced that fuse. We're at a point of testing, but Neil did not send in the chassis. So I kind of would like to know if it works so before I send it back out. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I've got 2 PS5s out in the garage waiting to be worked on. Might as well open one of those up, and we'll put this motherboard in one of those chassis. Hopefully we got a good power supply in one of them. But and let's just see what it does. I really would like to know before I send it back. Okay, I'm just checking this test platform that we're going to use to check out that board, and looks like the power supply is indeed good. So let me just get it transferred to that heatsink and frame, and we'll see what happens. Okay, here we are, moment of truth. I've got her in the chassis for so the heatsink, so we won't overheat too quickly. Maybe our fan is connected, just kind of propped there. I want to see if it spins. HDMI is connected because I'm overly hopeful, let's say. I've got my buttons connected, and the light ribbon cable is connected. And it's time to see what happens when I hook power up to this thing. Okay. I don't have the Blu-ray in there. I don't think that should have to be there just to turn on. Let's see what happens. Blue light, spinning fan. Come on. Come on. Oh, what was that? All right. We're recovering. I think we're going to live. We got a white light that isn't that beautiful. Oh, now it goes back blue. Just as I look at it, it goes back blue. The fan is spinning at a respectable speed. Yeah, I like the looks of this so far. PlayStation logo. I'd like to see it come all the way up, which I think it will. All right, and it's scolding us about not shutting it down properly. Wow, okay. Well, Neil, you are living right. It looks like we got lucky on this one. It was the encoder IC. I replaced that fuse and reinstalled your fan connector. So hopefully your grandson will be happy. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. Thought it was interesting, educational, fascinating. If you did anything like that, please give me a thumbs up. And I will see you in the very next repair, which is probably going to be this thing right here. So long for now.